Welcome to Beantown, Beatdown. Matthew Bars.
Gaabe Shamus.
That's right. And got some Bud Light Berry Arita mixed berry. Man, I tell you, I had this last night because I bought some last night, and let me tell you something. I love this flavor, man. It's a limited edition, though. I hope they keep this around.
Yeah, exactly. If any of y'all know about the if they do voting online or whatever, vote for this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. This is a great flavor. I always hope they come out with just a blueberry one, but now it's just a mixed berry. So,
well, maybe that's next. Always leave room for something better.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Ain't it the truth?
Cheers. Oh, that's good.
Fantastic. Yes.
Yeah. Now, we're going to start off. First and foremost, special happy birthday to our Boston native, Irish Mickey Ward.
Woo!
That's right. It's Mickey Ward's birthday today. And, one of the best boxers ever to come out of the state of Massachusetts and city of Boston, period. And believe it or not, he actually shares our birthday with a few famous people. I looked it up today. He shares it with Derrick Rose.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Famous basketball player.
Yep.
Shares it with Linda McMahon, Vince McMahon's wife.
Okay, yeah.
And of course, he shares it with our favorite sex slave, Dakota Johnson. Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep. Oh yeah, definitely. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday to all.
Yeah, that's right, man. All those fights with Arturo Gatti and just, those legendary fights, period. Blood and guts warrior to the end.
Yep, indeed.
Yep. And also, some more news. I was at the train station today and I picked up a Metro, and look who's on the cover of the Metro!
Woo!
That's right.
Yeah, for those that can't see, that's good old McGregor.
Yep, Connor MCgregor, his fight at UFC 229 against Khabib Nurmagomedov is this Saturday night for the UFC Lightweight Championship.
Nice.
And they listed some places in Boston where you can see the fight, actually. Of course, we're not going to go see the fight because we don't have money for that, and we're busy. And, I missed the article.
Don't go through the whole thing.
Yeah. Page 3. No way, page 3. Yep, here it is.
There we go.
Here are the bar listings. There's the Greatest End, that's in the West End.
The greatest bar in the West End.
Yeah, the greatest bar in the West End. Let's see. Tickets, starting tickets at $15. So that's pretty good. Greenbrier. That's, let's see, 20 tickets in advance are $20 and $25 at the door. That's gonna be in Brighton. Also, there's the Hurricanes at the Garden. Actually, that's pretty weird, actually, because I've never known the Hurricanes to ever host a fight. Host a fight. But I guess for Connor MCgregor, they're making the exception.
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
Yeah. Let's see. Tickets in advance, $20. Tickets at the door, $25. They kick off the festies at 8:30, but the ticket holders must be inside by 10 o'clock. That's on Canal Street. And then finally in Boylston, there's Lear, and $20 in Vans, and $25 at the door in case if they don't sell out. And also, last but not least, on Portland Street, it's going to be at McGann's Irish Pub. So
nice.
Yeah,
so, gotta have it at an Irish pub. I mean,
well, yeah, of course. I mean, Connor McGregor, the hero and all. So
indeed.
Yep. So definitely. So if you're in those areas that Saturday night to watch Connor McGregor fight, I highly suggest you go watch it, man, because it's gonna be a good fight. I mean, this is gonna be the first time I'll miss a Connor McGregor fight. I mean, because Connor McGregor is one of those fighters I do not miss for the world, and also the karate hottie Michelle Watterson is fighting on the undercard too. She's fighting Felice Herring.
Okay, well, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so there goes my chance to both watch a fight and masturbate at the same time. It can be done, people, just so you know, if you put your mind to it. And also, sadly, in some other news, Victor Ortiz, for those who don't know, he turned himself in to the police. He has been charged with 3 felonies of sexual assault.
Yes.
And I actually have him.
Yes, I heard about this on the news myself, and I was thinking, like, we definitely got to talk about this. So
yeah. So wait, you heard about it before I called you about it?
Yeah, actually.
Oh wow, where'd you hear on TMZ or?
No, one of the other networks. I don't remember right now, but.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So charge is forcible rape, forcible oral copulation, and forcible digital penetration. For those of you who don't know, forcible digital penetration means
with the fingers.
Yeah. So now there hasn't been. Now he turned himself in on Thursday, and there hasn't been any new updates since then. I mean, of course, his lawyers claim that he is innocent. Personally, I do want to believe that he is innocent, but at the,
But he turned himself in. What exactly does that mean? That means that that he voluntarily went to the police station and said, I'm guilty of this. So I mean,
it's not an admission of guilt. It might be because a lawyer might say like, well, in order to save face or just so they won't arrest you at home or arrest you the night of the fight. We'll turn you in.
Okay, got it. Because that did confuse me, and I'm sure that was gonna confuse viewers that he turned himself in, but his lawyers say he's innocent. Like that's tough to parse. But I guess that makes sense. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, of course, this has to go through a trial, and we don't know what happened. We don't know what happened. I mean, but. I mean, as a boxing fan, I hope this isn't true, but if he is guilty, by all means, we have to punish him to the furthest extent of the law.
Yep, exactly. And I think this goes to some other stuff that we've talked about here on the show. That we don't like to believe that that bad behavior like on the court or bad behavior in the ring transfers to someone's personal life. But there is some evidence that that it does. We've talked about the Adrian Peterson thing in the NFL, and we've talked about these things, and I think that's hopefully that's one of the reasons you guys respond to us is that we're very honest sports show. We talk about these issues and try and work them out for the betterment of these sports. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll just have to wait and see what the jury says and when's the trial and all that. So and now to liven up the mood. Next weekend is a double dose of Bellator, Bellator MMA.
Yep.
First on Friday, it's Bellator 207, which will be live at the Mohegan Sun, which is where Gatti-Ward took place.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, the first fight. And, of course, in the heavyweight Grand Prix semifinals, Matt Mitrione versus Ryan Bader.
Mm-hmm.
Should be a good fight. And on the undercard of that, Roy Nelson versus Sergey Kurgatov. Lorenz Larkin versus Ion Pascu. And, of course, Kimbo Slice's son, Baby Slice, continues to climb up the ranks as he takes on Corey Browning.
Baby Slice, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a pretty good fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty good fighter. And the next night, Bellator 208, that will be live at the Nassau Veterans Coliseum, or however they call it nowadays.
Okay, yeah.
In New York City. Fedor Emelianenko taking on Chael Douchebag Sonnen. Oh, please get him out of this tournament. Please get him out of this tournament.
Right, exactly.
Benson Henderson versus Saeed Awad. Alexander Shlemenko versus Anatoly Tolkov.
Mm-hmm.
Czech Congo taking on Timothy Johnson. And Henry Corrales versus Andy Main.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty crowded card right there.
Well, yeah, I mean... And plus, it's on Friday night and Saturday night, so definitely going to be a good nights of fights. And I'm going to try to do an episode of the Beer and Brawl show that same week. I'll probably do it on like a Tuesday or a Thursday afternoon or something. I'll try to do something for that.
Right, stay tuned on that.
Yeah. And speaking of which, tune in to this Friday night, tomorrow night, for the Beer and Brawl show, Hispanic Heritage Month.
Nice.
This is our first week of Hispanic Heritage Month, and also I got the fights right here. Oh wait, wrong page again. Damn. little off my game here.
That's all right.
Yeah, I got it right here. What the fuck?
So Hispanic Heritage Month, you said.
Yep, Hispanic Heritage Month.
Mm-hmm.
That's. We're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, featuring all the great fights featuring Latino fighters.
Right.
And, of course, there's all your favorite fighters. All the fights that I showed before in past episodes are going to be on here. And there's even going to be some new ones. But if you're a diehard boxing fan, this is most definitely the episode for you.
Mm-hmm.
And motherfucker, why can't I find this page? Find that page. I had it. Shit.
Oh man, flipping through the pages.
Yeah.
At least you're not in church, right?
Yeah. At least I'm not in church. Well, I already put a promo out on there, so what fights to expect. So you can definitely check it out on there, but tune in live
on Facebook.
Yeah, tune in live on Facebook this Friday night at 7:30.
Okay, perfect.
And now we're gonna get into the world outside the ring. So, Gabe, take it away.
All right. So, I'm gonna be talking about setting your priorities. Today. There's a lot of things coming up, both in the fight world, outside of the fight world, sometimes you feel pressure to do all these things that you can do, unfortunately you can't do everything. That's something that I remember very distinctly from my college, days. There's there's this party and there's this, art collective thing and there's that thing and there's this, he had, at least I feel like I had a lot more time, to do things back then. And even though there was studying in classes, I didn't have, huge blocks of the day that I was working, but still you can't do everything. And so, you gotta, everyone knows, at least most people know, you gotta pick and choose. And, so how do you do that? Sometimes you weigh it, ahead of time, and they're like, okay, I definitely gotta do this. You're like, no missing that, but if I have to miss this, then I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? And sometimes you do that way ahead of time, in like 2 weeks ahead of time. Sometimes you still figure it out right on the day. So one thing that stands out to me is that there's and again, this will be my one little political caveat in here, is that there's obviously the whole issue of the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, the guy who wants to be on the Supreme Court, and sexual assault allegations. Jeff Flake was a Republican senator that stopped the vote on Friday, and said, let's open an FBI investigation for a week, so that we can try and get to the bottom of this. So there's a lot of different things going into that. I know what the FBI can do. Is always, hoping that they'd be given more free reign and that they'd be given more manpower, because then a week would be fine. But it doesn't look like that was the case. They were very limited in how they did this. But that notwithstanding, Jeff Flake was actually here in Boston on Monday.
Oh, he was.
He was indeed. Yes, he came to an event called the Future of the Republican Party, and that was broadcast, on national networks. So yeah, I was definitely going to go there, and there was a demonstration, planned to urge him to vote no, and it's interesting because that actually completely changed from that demonstration was planned on Thursday, and that obviously the big momentous non-vote actually happened on Friday. So the complete nature of that thing changed, and the venue changed as well once they heard that there was going to be a demonstration. So, anyway, I got myself up and I was trying to go, but when I got up on Monday morning, I was like, God damn it, I'm too tired, and I had just gotten over feeling sick, so I'm like, oh man, I really hate to miss this, but I think I'm gonna have to miss this. I've done a lot for history, lately. I've helped Ayanna Pressley get elected. Since I've moved here, no big deal. But since I've moved here to Boston, I've seen Barack Obama, I've seen the Dalai Lama. These very influential people. They're a big part of history. I've seen them, and I've seen Elizabeth Warren, obviously. So anyway, I was like, maybe I've done enough for history, now, and this is just one too many things to try and get there by around 10 a.m. On Monday.
Oh yeah, we've talked about a little bit about this. Also, I've been meaning to ask, did Cynthia Nixon win her election?
Right. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. We were going to talk about that when we were going to do the show, weeks ago. But yeah, we didn't get to talk about that. So thanks for asking. So yeah, unfortunately, Cynthia is not going to be the governor of New York. She, the whole process, I'm gonna say, was crooked from the beginning. There's a lot of obstacles put in place for alternative candidates. When Zephyr Teachout tried to run against Cuomo, the current governor, in 2014, it was the same type of thing. New York is the only state that has two different elections, one for Congress and stuff, and one for state level offices. So so it confuses people. We have to vote twice. And not only that, but the vote for state level offices is the very last vote of the primary season, and it was I think it was even later this year because of Yom Kippur, because of the Jewish holiday and some other reason. They actually pushed it even later from what would have been a Tuesday to a Thursday. So anyway, all of that is and also you have to be affiliated with a party. You have to be affiliated with the Democratic Party a year in advance in order to vote in the primary.
So, in other words, right from the beginning, Cynthia Nixon was fucked.
Exactly. Unfortunately, yes. And so she, she did not win. She got only a little bit more percentage than Zephyr Teachout did without a national debate. And Cynthia Nixon did have a debate, like I mentioned. So that's very unfortunate. But the silver lining is that one of the other areas of corruption is these state senators in New York are called the IDC, the Independent Democrat Committee, and they voted with the Republicans most of the time, and Cynthia called them out again and again on the campaign trail. So they were all up for re-election. So Cynthia didn't get it. Zephyr Teachout did not get the Attorney General, but the good news is that all of those IDC assholes were actually voted out on September 13th.
Yeah.
So
well, look at it this way, well, I do want to say that there's still a tiny hope for a Sex and the City Part 3 movie. But,
That's
well, true. Of course, Samantha's holding the cards, so.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see, but maybe she also positioned herself, to run again, next time. We'll see, but for the moment, no. Oh, also one other note, since we're on this subject.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck you, HRC, Human Rights Commission. I'm gay. Was fully supportive of you. That's one of the big LGBT advocacy organizations. But you've made terrible decisions recently, and I don't think I can no longer support you. You supported, This is going to be a little bit more difficult. That I understand why you supported Hillary Clinton, in the back in 2016. But you did support her in the primary when Bernie Sanders was still running. She came out for marriage equality in 2013. She did not support marriage equality until 2013. Bernie Sanders was talking about marriage equality, gay marriage, in the 1980s, before it was even conceivable in the national lexicon. So that's one thing. But the other thing, more egregious in my opinion, is that in this race, in the New York primary, they actually supported Cuomo. They did not support the progressive lesbian, who was running against him. So, yeah, I know you've done good work. I know you continue to do good work, but I will not give you one more dollar of my money, and fuck you for that.
Well, it could have been someone at the top.
True, and let's hope so, and so that the rest of the members of the organization can take power later and start making better decisions.
Yeah, of course, and getting it back to because again, this is the escape zone.
Yes.
And so we're gonna bring it right back to the escape zone. Priorities. Yeah, there's in the fight world there's priorities, and
yes.
And sometimes in the fight world, the promoters don't always have their priorities straight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's we have to make this fight happen, and then it's we shouldn't do it because of the politics and stuff like that. They let politics get in the way of fights.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And we've talked about this on the show, and I've asked you before, what determines if there's going to be this rematch or not. What determines that type of thing. We have talked about that there is sometimes, the rematch that everyone wants to see, but because of logistics, or bad priorities, right, it doesn't happen.
Well, yes, because it's always the, there's always the TV rights deals, there's the pay-per-view rights deals, then there's the money, who's going to get more money. who's gonna get, by money that means like the live gate, the pay-per-view revenues, and or TV revenue deals as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's all like it's just it's a complicated business. More so it's actually more complicated in the boxing business. In the boxing world than it is in MMA.
Right.
So because in MMA there's different promotions. You have the UFC, you have Bellator, you have you have Ryzen, you have ONE FC, you have all these different promotions. So
yeah, exactly.
it's but more so in the world of boxing.
Mm-hmm.
So because it's very complicated, and we see in the past like HBO and Showtime like come together to promote fights. They've done it for Lewis and Tyson and Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko and Mayweather and Pacquiao, but it's still complicated. It's still a very complicated thing, and it's also the promoters too. Like the promoter, because sometimes the promoter won't get along with another promoter and that sort of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so in life, we always have to set priorities, and it's especially hard when you have Asperger's too, because because as an Aspies, like we want to say one thing is important, but then of course there's also stuff in the real world that we have to take care of as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, but there can be the upside. There is the upside of setting priorities. Is that you can say this certain thing like is the most important. And therefore we're gonna make it happen. It steals your resolve towards that. You know what I mean? And so a lot of sometimes some of the most important things are made possible because you say we're gonna make this a priority. You know what I mean? And that's that. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And for me, it's for priorities, it's of course this relates to fighting because like as a fan, it's like on the same night there'll be the night of a pay-per-view, there'll also be a free fight.
Right.
And sometimes that's hard to choose too because it's like, do I waste my money or
which is how I would say it, waste your money. But
do I waste my money on a big fight that the world has been waiting to see, or do I save my money and just settle for a free fight that is popular but not as big as the pay-per-view fight? Exactly.
Yeah.
Because and that's the other thing too, because it's like
and I can imagine being a fan, like the big fight is a part of history, and I can I understand that for other events, but that you really if you can you really want to see it live because that's a part of history and you'll be part of it. You know what I mean? So I do understand why you would go towards the pay-per-view in that sense.
Well, yeah, just pay-per-view history in period, like professional wrestling, going into the world pro wrestling, like for example, I was what was it? I remember like some of the WrestleManias that I watched. Well, the WrestleManias that I saw when I was in school. I've ordered some WrestleManias. I've ordered some wrestling pay-per-views and stuff, but my time in high school, I've seen WrestleMania. Let's see, I've seen WrestleMania 19, WrestleMania. Sorry, there's a fly there.
There we go.
Oh, didn't get him. I saw WrestleMania 19.
That's like priorities.
yeah, that's a priority. I saw WrestleMania 19. I saw WrestleMania 21, and I saw WrestleMania 22.
Yeah,
and some of those moments were big moments in history. You know, like especially WrestleMania 21 with my best friend Kenny Benesh. Hey Kenny, what's up? Shout out to him on Facebook.
Yeah.
just being there, seeing the first Money in the Bank match, seeing Batista win his first WWE Championship, seeing John Cena win his first. Well, he won his first world title, and John Cena won his first WWE Championship, and being there when when Hulk Hogan came out there for a short cameo appearance, and and just seeing all those great moments, or even when you watch Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, and I mean SmackDown just celebrated, I think it's like 1,000th episode, I think.
Oh wow!
And it's just like, it's just knowing that, wow, I saw it, I was there, and it's like, and of course I'm gonna get more into this in our
and you'll probably also remember, always remember where you were when you watched it too.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's it's gonna be something we'll tell our children and our grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right. I don't know about you having children or grandchildren. But,
I have actually planned to have children, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe you'll adopt a little Vietnamese girl, just like on Modern Family.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
I could do it biologically, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah. And also, before we get into our last segment, next weekend we're going to be filming our Ringside episode, Ringside with Matt and Gaabe, and we're going to be doing the best of kickboxing, so we're going to be showing some kickboxing matches on there, and you're going to be seeing some fighters like like Bob Sapp, Maurice Smith. Well, I know Bob Sapp is going to be on there, but as far as some other fighters, some other fights and stuff like that, we'll definitely let you guys know. There's going to be some good kickboxing on there. We wanted to do one in September for our Ali Spinks 2, because the anniversary of that was coming up, but unfortunately, due to circumstances, we couldn't. So we won't do it. So we couldn't do that episode. Maybe we'll do that for next year. And also in November, we got a couple of there's one anniversary of one fight that we're gonna do, because there's two fights that happen in November in history. We're gonna do one for the anniversary in November, and the next one we're gonna do in December. So stay tuned for those episodes.
Stay tuned. Yes. All right.
And now we're going to get into the last round. Mm-hmm. That's the name of the new segment, the last round.
Yep.
And as you all know, on Thursday, it was announced HBO has decided to cancel boxing. That means no more Boxing After Dark, no more boxing pay-per-views, and no more World Championship Boxing. So after 45 years of controversy, great fights, crowning new champions, creating great stars and moments, HBO will no longer carry boxing.
That's got to be a sad day for the fans.
Yeah, and also if you look on our Facebook page, I did a video for it on my personal Facebook page for my episode of Thoughts from an Aspie. I said the name of it is called The End of an Era, and this is and I shared it to the Beatdown page, and this is clearly the end of an era.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
this is. HBO boxing goes all the way back to 1973. I mean, this is when cable was just getting started, so to speak.
Right.
And the first boxing match was George Foreman versus Joe Frazier. Yep, that's when we heard the famous words, "Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier!"
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
So that, speaking of history, that's major,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then also on HBO, there was also Ali Foreman, the Rumble in the Jungle.
Yep.
And then, of course, Ali Frazier 3, the Thrill in Manila. And that was actually the first episode of Ringside we did.
Oh, yes,
too.
that's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we made our own new history with that.
Yeah, we actually did that the week that, that was the week that Muhammad Ali had passed away.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Yeah, so...
Yes, so that was an homage as well, a tribute.
Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, yeah, this is some some major news. And as I said, it seems like it's got to be sad for the fans. And the other thing is, it's like I don't know. I'm guessing with this that also means that all combat sports. There's no more combat sports on HBO. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, like their last, as far as I know, their last fight is. Danny Jacobs' fight on October 27th. That's on a Saturday night.
Okay, yeah.
And the real last thing of boxing they're going to do is LeBron James's two-part documentary, What's My Name? The Story of Muhammad Ali. Yes, because LeBron James, he has a show, The Shop, Barbershop. I actually saw the pilot episode he did with got people like Candace Parker and Jon Stewart and Snoop Dogg on there.
Okay.
Yeah, so now LeBron has, of course, LeBron has the student athlete documentary on HBO as well, and he has the.
I thought you were gonna say the school.
Yeah, student athlete.
The student athlete.
Yeah, and he also had, and now he
inner
has
city
the
school. Yeah.
Yeah, and now he has the Muhammad Ali documentary. So slowly but surely, it's starting to become the LeBron James network, HBO.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which you think would have them gear it back towards sports? Maybe.
No, it's still going to carry sports. They're still doing sports documentaries.
Right.
Real Sports with Brian Gumbel is still going to be on there.
Yeah. I guess that's combat sports is what I meant, but I mean, you'd think with his interest in combat sports they would continue it, but I guess unfortunately no. But yeah, there will be other sports documentaries and experiences like you said.
Well, yeah, and I actually read the article, and the ratings have not been. The ratings have not been big. Not only for
boxing.
Yeah, for HBO, and and
so that's probably part of their decision. Let's be real. That's unfortunately part of their decision there.
Well, yeah, of course, because you and I are businessmen. We're trying to get Bloody Knuckles Productions off the ground,
right? And
we all know, and of course, I've said this before, not to sound like a capitalist, though I do come off as a capitalist when I say this. At the end of the day, it is a business.
Right.
And a business is a business, and a business has to be run like a business. There's things like, there's financial reports, there's, and there's also quotas.
Yeah.
I've said that right? Quotas,
yeah.
Yeah, there's quotas.
Yep.
And by reaching your quotas, that means certain things are done at a certain time.
Exactly. Yep.
And
yeah, this actually goes back to priorities as well. When you're a business, there's the business priorities, and if something's not doing good enough in the ratings, then, you assess it, but eventually you have to cut it, so.
Yeah, exactly. And once again, go look at the episode. Thoughts of an Aspie. Yeah, because I talked about my personal, because I have a lot of personal memories with it, because it was HBO World Championship Boxing. I saw my first boxing match, George Foreman versus Michael Moore. And of course, I remember watching old VHS blank tapes of I saw James Toney's rematch with James McCullen.
Yeah.
And then I saw, let's see what else. I saw Evander Holyfield versus Riddick Bowe Part 2. I actually saw Bo Holyfield 3 too. Oh, wow. My mom ordered that fight on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of Oscar De La Hoya's fights when he was coming up in the ranks and becoming popular and stuff. Saw Felix Trinidad. I also saw on the undercard of Evander Holyfield versus I forgot who he was fighting. I'm blanking out on his name now. But on the undercard of that, it was in Madison Square Garden. It was Lennox Lewis versus Ray Mercer. Yeah, and I saw that, and I saw a lot of Roy Jones Jr.'s fight, and also when I was a kid, when I was a little kid, during the days of Blockbuster, I watched Boxing's Best.
Right.
Yeah, Boxing's Best. There was an old HBO show, and they had they told stories on personal fighters. They did it on Jack Dempsey, Jack Johnson, Rocky Marciano, Muhammad Ali. They did one on Sugar Ray Robinson, but of course I didn't see that one until I saw it on YouTube.
Okay, yeah.
And then they had another one where they talked about different divisions, like the best of the heavyweights, the best punchers, stylists, and they talked about the best of the middleweights, the lightweights, and welterweights, and who are the best champions, and and then there was one, Mike Tyson's greatest hits. This was like a little after Tyson had knocked out Michael Spinks,
right? And
there was another one that I've seen that I rented it like 3 or 4 times, and I've seen it. I've seen this 1,000 times, especially now on YouTube, called Boxing's Greatest Knockouts. It's when Mike Tyson had just become the new heavyweight champion of the world. And
right.
It was Mike Tyson and Larry Merchant. They talked about, it showed highlights of all the great fights that ended in knockouts. They showed like Ali listed and Leonard Hearns and Sugar Ray Robinson and Gene Fulmer. So,
right. Okay.
And it was because of HBO I really got into boxing. I mean, later on, of course, I watched Showtime, and really, if it wasn't for HBO World Championship Boxing, there would be no Showtime Championship Boxing, because Showtime came around in '86, whereas HBO started in '73. But in the '80s, it's where it got big.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here, let's pour one in for boxing on HBO.
Well, there's still more I was going to talk about, but there's no official thing. And but also, just to talk more about it, I mean, think about because also it was the 80s and 90s. I mean, of course, in the 80s, we talk about the Four Kings, of course, Leonard Hearns, Hagler, and Duran. And their fights were shown on there. Well, some of their fights were shown on there. The fights that were shown on there was Leonard Hearns 1 and 2, Hagler and Duran, Hagler Hearns, and Hagler versus Leonard, which I think was the best fight out of that rivalry.
Okay.
The nice. Fab Four rivalry.
Right, yes.
And, of course, in the 80s, we saw Larry Holmes when he was World Heavyweight Champion. Underappreciated, really underappreciated. I mean, the biggest fight he had on HBO was the one with Jerry Cooney. Yeah, of course. And then, of course, that was also the rise of Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Yeah, Mike
so
Tyson.
That's like the beginning of a king, reign of a king.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Tyson won his first heavyweight championship on HBO.
Okay.
Trevor Brebrick.
Speaking of history, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and then of course, he fought on HBO, and in fact, that's where he actually that's where he suffered his first defeat too, on HBO.
Oh wow.
Yeah, against James Buster Douglas.
Right.
And also, that's also where Floyd Mayweather got his start. Floyd Mayweather won his first world title on HBO. And, Miguel Cotto, he became famous on there, and so did Manny Pacquiao. And it's just, just a list of so many great fights over the decades. And I can say this as a huge boxing fan. It's just, it's a shame. It's really the end of an era.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it really is the end of an era, and actually, we've seen some of our fights on episode of Ringside have been fights we've seen on HBO too.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, those were the Ali Frazier 3, James Toney versus Vasily Jurov, James Toney versus Iron Barkley, and of course Mike Tyson versus Michael Spinks, the 91-second knockout.
Right.
So,
exactly. All sorts of great moments there.
Yeah, exactly. So, what are your thoughts? Of it ending?
Yeah, it's crazy. It really is too bad. I feel like there's a lot more they could have done. Like I said, I feel like they've been we've talked about like kind of mainstreaming combat sports and how when MMA became legal in New York, we were here and talking about that and
democracy.
Yeah, exactly. So it feels like this is going in the opposite direction, as everything else. This is going the opposite direction that history is supposed to be going. You know what I mean? Like, I actually didn't know that it had been so long that boxing was on HBO. So, to now hear that they're stopping it, that's like the wrong direction, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, as businessmen, we know that it's a business, and a business at the end of the day has to be run like a business.
Exactly. But it doesn't mean we're not sad about it, right?
Yeah, we are definitely sad about it. In fact, we are definitely... I mean, this is one of those things where we're going to be in mourning for a while.
A long time.
I mean, and as a matter of fact, we are going to be in mourning up until January of 2019. Okay, we're gonna give ourselves at least 2 months to grieve.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's definitely appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, after 2 months, come January 2019, we're going to put on, me and Gabe, we're gonna put our big boy pants. Well, I'll put on my big boy pants. He's gonna put on his big boy panties, and we're gonna go on about our days.
Yes, exactly. So here, let's raise a glass to all the good times on boxing on HBO.
Yeah, HBO, baby. Mm-hmm. And also because we're talking about Mickey Ward's birthday. I mean, his fights with some of his best fights were on HBO as well. Most notably the Turo Gotti Mickey Ward fights.
Right.
All 3 of those fights. And matter of fact, his brother Dickie Eklund, he fought Sugar Ray Leonard on HBO too.
Oh wow!
And that was actually Sugar Ray Leonard's first fight on HBO as well.
Fascinating.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, let's do that. Let's do that one more time with a moment of silence. Here's to you, HBO.
Yep. Here's to you, HBO. And that's going to do it for right now.
Yep, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up right here. Go to Facebook, Beantown. Yep, Beatdown at Facebook.com. YouTube.com/Bloody Knuckles TV.
Yep.
And don't forget to tune in tomorrow night, Friday night, for Hispanic Heritage Month, Week 1.
Okay.
And also Ringside with Matt and Gabe. We're going to be taping this next Saturday, and hopefully we'll have it up that Saturday afternoon as well.
All right, cool.
So, from Beantown to your town, this is the Beantown Beatdown. Matthew Barris.
Gabe Shamus.
Vios con Dios.